And now, the one, the only, Janet Kuypers.
I don't know if I'm only. Hi. I was going to read two poems because the first one is long for you. Trying to figure out what book I'd like to read it out of because it happens to be in both books. I've got it in chapter 48, volume 2, one of my poetry collection books. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in this book. But it's also in the interview book titled In Depth, which has segments of interviews. And this mic drops. Tilt it up. Sorry. It's sinking on me. It was falling on the ankles. Hopefully that'll help. So I could read a further book, but I'm going to read these two poems from this book in depth. This first poem, after interview questions, this poem, September 11th, 2001. I remember my husband getting ready for work, and I walked to the TV in the den, and I thought he was watching a movie. He said, I don't think this is a movie. I think the World Trade Center has been struck. And we stared at the television and watched a plane fly into the second tower. And we watched the towers collapse. I can't even remember if my husband went to work that day, as I just stared at that TV. It took 2 days to get through to everyone. My friend and one brother-in-law rescheduled Pentagon meetings, and we tried to call his sister in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Actually, our nephew heard in the news reports that said that if Flight 93 landed 30 seconds later, the plane would have hit his high school. And my brother-in-law in New Jersey was supposed to be at the World Trade Center for a meeting that day, but you see, he decided to not go to the meeting. Lucky him. And so, all I remember was just sitting and watching that TV, and I looked like some sort of zombie, thinking about how this was bigger than Pearl Harbor. More people died. That this wasn't a military base. I had to do something. Maybe I could go there. I've traveled around the country by car before. I could drive this. Maybe I could stay with my husband's brother in Jersey and train into Manhattan. And my husband couldn't go. He said he had to go to work. So I took off in my car, paid the tolls on I-80, and forgot my camera. I got to his brother's place after 1 in the morning. He told me which trains to take, but he said half the subway lines have to be closed. So I trained from Jersey as far as I could, but I couldn't get close. But I thought, I've walked 7 miles to work. That's no problem. An hour and a half. I can do that. I thought I could buy an Instamatic camera at some small shop on my walk to Ground Zero, and maybe I could take a film canister so I could collect some of the building dust, because someone actually gave me the ashes from Mount St. Helens eruption, and I thought, I've lived through this. I should bring something back with me. I should something. But every store was closed when I tried to walk anywhere that day, and everything was so congested. Buildings seemed closed, but you still couldn't go anywhere. So, over 4 hours later, I got to Ground Zero, and I was wearing gym shoes and jeans, and I had a bottle of sealed water in my backpack purse, and I wanted to get in to try to help. I don't know, to shovel things out of the way, to something. But no one had maps of where everything was. There were too many people there trying to help, and they told me that the best thing that I could do to help was just clear the way so people could do their jobs. And I just stepped back, unable to do anything, unable to collect anything, unable to photograph anything, only able to stare like I was watching it on TV. I used only lowercase when writing this, even when I said I. I'm only lowercase. When I watched the news on that first day, when they showed people jumping out of windows, these silhouettes of people, they look like floating paper in a ticker tape parade. And in all this debris that was floating around, I keep telling myself, these are people. So when I look around at all the remains from these towering office buildings, I think of the dust that I'm breathing in. And I thought, I'm breathing in drywall. I'm breathing in paperwork. I'm breathing in people. So yes, I'm only lowercase. After what I've seen around me, I'm nothing. Thank you for that. This is another one from it, and these are all in reactions to questions from interviews. And this poem is called Scratch the Surface. You don't have to pull out the book for men to know how men degrade the weaker sex, or even assault women with the English language. But hey, they can even try to make it sound nice. Think it's a compliment to call us a honey, a fox, a pumpkin, they're a cougar, or even a hot chick. But if calling us a food or an animal is too degrading, I can still be your babe. I can still be your girl. I mean, calling us less than an adult can still degrade us. But I get furious when I'm walking and wearing a tank top, you know, because it's hot outside and a semi or a truck honks their horn. I mean, do they think honking their horn is a compliment, or are they just too busy blowing their horns to show off their big rig? I thought the book for men covered all of the bases when it came to sex in terms of men, that so they can understand them banging, hammering, nailing, screwing, scoring. But I was in a car, and because it was warm, I was wearing a tank top again, and a truck driver's, which is apparently a truck driver's sexual turn-on. So I got honked at by a semi-driver while sitting in the car going down the highway, and that's when I heard a one-word term for women. Someone informed me that after their truck horn blares, the truck driver then radios ahead to other semis and tells them the color, make, and model of a car with a good-looking seat cover. Women, wow, we're a seat cover, thanks. Now we're just a good-looking upholstery, something you can just keep around and sit on. But we can't stay pretty after you've kept us down like that for years before you have to get something prettier to replace us. So, as I sit in this car, covering myself up whenever we're near a truck, I think about the book for men, with jokes objectifying women or reminding us about a bush, a slit, a crack, a box, a hole, or a farm implement, like a hoe. But I'm telling you, baby doll, as thorough as that handbook seems, it doesn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
Thank you.